She here? Why is she here? It's a Wednesday. Well, guess what? Here at British Links, and shouts out to British Links for even providing this platform. But here at British Links, we are closing up the season. We are closing up the season of the check-in, and we have something super extra special for you guys. We have listen, so quite often you've heard me talk about publicity and why publicity is important in your career as a creative or even as an executive when you're in the music industry. So a publicist builds your story. That is the purpose of a publicist. So they are the ones that create the narrative for you, on the World Wide Web, right? On the internet. That is the purpose of a publicist. And so quite often you guys, especially if you're independent, if you're building, then you don't necessarily have a budget for a publicist, or you're just not sure what a publicist is. You don't know what direction to go in and things of that nature. So here at British Links, we have a special edition for you here in the month of December. Wednesday, today, December 1st, December 15th, and December 22nd, we are going to be blessed by Ms. Raine Martin, who is an original publicist. And when I tell you, big up the Pier 1 staff in Mobay, hey, in Montego Bay, Jamaica. And when I tell you guys, when I say original publicist, I want you to understand that she's from before, the internet, when you could just search things and then you send a link out, or you could just do email blasts. She had to physically have a book. Look. So here's a photo album, right? She had something similar to this, and it would contain articles. It would see there's pages, right? Pictures, eh? It would contain articles from her clients. So when Vibes Cartel was just first busting on the scene, that's the Portmore Empire, if you remember, Vibes Cartel from those days. And so Ms. Raine is the publicist who was responsible when you're seeing MySpace and, just the articles just outside of Jamaica. And Ms. Raine Martin was the publicist for the Portmore Empire. So, we are very honored to have her here with us. And I just want to read for you guys a couple of things that some of her peers in the public relations industry have said about her, because I think it's very important for you to understand the treat that you all are getting for these three very special classes. We'll call them classes. Make sure that you have your paper. So from Ronnie Tomlinson, who is the director of publicity over at Destiny Media, she says, a major reason that she is a publicist today is because she met Miss Raine in Brooklyn, and her poise, her demeanor was so different than many of the other females who held a place of role in music. Ronnie goes on to say that her passion for music and not knowing what her role was or what her place in music would be, she knew she wanted to be calm and collected like Ms. Raine and respected like Ms. Raine. And also Shuzzer, who is Shuzzer PR, he also said, credits Ms. Raine with he wanting to be a publicist as well. So I'm not going to hold you guys up. I'm going to grab my paper and my pen is right here so that we can bring Ms. Raine in. And today's class, let me tell you guys what today's class is so that you can know, is media coaching. It's media coaching. So we're super, super, super excited about that. Of course, she's my publicist. So, I'm a little biased when it comes to her, and I definitely thank her for, for keeping me as a client. I'm very, very happy to have her. But today's class, again, is media coaching. You're going to learn how to raise your public profile with tips and best practices for slaying media interviews. So without further ado, we are to join us here on the check-in. Yes, Ms. Raine.
Hey, Genie. Can you hear me?
Thank you. Yes, hear you. You look beautiful. Hey.
Thank you.
Well, and what you over there doing? Let me drink some water. What you doing over there?
I am over here working with what I'm always doing. I am
right. Well, I am going to be quiet, and I am going to take notes. Of course, there are times when I'm going to interject and kind of, give some questions for the audience and some questions that we had from before while we jump into media coaching with Ms. Raine Martin. Ready?
Thank you so much, Genie. you have pulled me out of retirement to do these media and to do PR sessions, and I really appreciate it.
Well,
it's
thank you
fun
for
to
accepting.
it's fun to jump back in. Earlier, you made it sound like I've been doing PR from the Stone Age. I ain't that old. I'm not that old. But
She's younger than me, guys. Let me tell you this. She is younger than me. Let me redeem myself.
By like what, 2 days, Jeannie? By like what, 2 days?
It's younger. Yes.
But I'm here today to do a session on media coaching. So this is my top 5 tips for all entertainers, artists, people who want to do media interviews and want to raise their public profile through the media. These are my top 5 tips on how to just absolutely kill every single interview that you have. So Jeannie already, told you a little bit about my background, but just a little bit more. I started off actually as a journalist before I started working on as an independent publicist. So I had kind of both sides of the coin, being both a journalist and a publicist. I was an independent publicist for about 8 years, way back when. As you mentioned, I did work with Vybz Kartel, Adidja Heem Records, the Portmore Empire for a few years. I worked on the Rhythm Doubles album with Sly and Robbie, doing PR for that. A million stage shows, Reggae Carrot Fest in New York, the Brooklyn Music Festival in New York. And my last big project that I did as an entertainment publicist, that is, was the Sweet Jamaica album by Mr. Vegas in 2012. So that's a little bit about my background in music. Right now, I work in nonprofits, and I am the head of external relations at a nonprofit organization. And that includes managing the organization's media and public relations. I'm still in the field. I'm just not, woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning by an entertainer who's having some sort of crisis.
Right. Oh my gosh, I can't find my wallet. Raine, where's my wallet? No.
Or I'm not, being texted. Did you see what's on YouTube? One of your clients is on YouTube. Have you seen it, Miss Raine? Yeah, all of that.
Wait, and you have a degree. I think it's important to say that you actually have a degree in your field.
Yes, I have a bachelor's degree from Temple University. Shout out to Temple University. In communications, journalism, public relations, and advertising were my specialties there. I have to laugh at the mention of YouTube because I think that one of my favorite moments from a client was I was working with Vybz Kartel. And he had done something that I did not agree with, and he was on YouTube. He was gonna go live. He was gonna go on YouTube and put out this video, and I kept asking him gently, "Well, what kind of video are you gonna put out? What kind of video are you gonna put out?" And he wouldn't answer me, and so I get a text like, "Have you seen Vybz Kartel's video?" And I go on there. And the video, it wasn't anything too controversial. It was just, him going on to talk to his fans. And at the beginning, he goes, "Mr. Ian, don't worry yourself. Me not do no porn video, man. Don't worry yourself." And then he goes on. And everybody is texting me, and you're like, "Porn? What is this? What happened? What happened? Right. And I wanted to strangle him.
Oh, my goodness. Well, at least he was not doing it. He didn't have to tell you that.
He didn't have to tell the whole world that. He could have just texted me and told me that he wasn't.
That's funny, though. Sorry, it's funny. And that was before YouTube allowed you to stream. This is like before it allowed you to have like these long videos. I think you could only do like 15-minute videos.
It was a very short clip. He actually it was a whole long story, but he put out a video on YouTube and assured me that he wasn't gonna put put any porn in it. Thankfully. But there was that. So to kick it off, like I said, I'm here to give like some really quick tips on how to get the most out of your radio, your news, your podcast interviews. So the first thing that I would say is that the first question you should ask yourself before you do anything is, should I give a media interview? Am I ready to give a media interview? Is this the right time for me to do a media interview? Is this the right outlet for me to do a media interview? So I will tell you that not all media is right for you. You have to consider the interviewer, what you want to get out of the interview. For example, if you're a dancehall artist and you're transitioning into being a gospel artist, continuing to do interviews with dancehall platforms, even though they're going to be the ones reaching out to you because this is going to be big news to them, it doesn't mean you should do them, because it's not going to get you to where you want to be as a gospel artist. It's going to continue to put you in the dancehall box.
But what, and sorry, Ms. Raine, you know I'm going to jump in a couple of times, but what if it's like a major dancehall platform?
Why? What would that have to do? What would you gain out of that as a gospel artist? If you are changing your life and turning over to being a gospel artist, doing an interview on a dancehall platform about your gospel music is going to do what?
Still keep me there, right?
There you go.
Okay.
So
right.
You really need to do your research and make sure that you're reaching out to the right outlets, the right programs, the right personalities that are appropriate for you and the projects that you want to do. It is. Mm-hmm.
So how do I turn them down there? How do I tell them that no, I'm not going to do that interview? You know I'm not doing dancehall anymore. Why would you even contact me? Can I say it that way?
Thank you for reaching out at this time. I am not ready to do an interview with you. Continue to reach out. Perhaps later on we can talk about it a little bit more. But at this point in time, I'm not doing any interviews with you.
Thank you.
You always be nice, always be gracious. You never know when you're going to need them again.
Right.
Never, ever, ever be rude.
Leave that door open.
Always leave the door open. Never burn your bridges when it comes to the media. And I'll tell you, it is totally okay to turn down an interview for Drink Champs. For example, if your target audience listens to NPR. Drink Champs is a big platform, but it's not going to do anything for you. So, always make sure that you are targeting the right media and doing interviews with the right people. Another thing that's important when you're asking yourself if you should do this interview, if there is a negative story that is circulating about you, instead of running to do every, media interviews, a lot of times it's best to craft a statement and then build a media strategy afterwards. Do not run in front of the media every time something negative is going on with you to clear your name. A lot of times it does a lot more harm than good. You should always be strategic, be more strategic about the media that you are doing, making sure that that this interview that you're about to do is going to do it's going to get you where you need to go and get the message that you need to do. And I will say, the media is tricky.
So
doesn't always go well.
So who's going to give that statement? Is it you as my publicist, or am I the one that's going to make that statement that you draft up?
We are going to craft it together. Some people trust their publicist to make a statement, and that's fine too. But for me personally, I like to craft the message together with the artist to make sure that it's authentic. I'll bring up an example, a recent example. I don't know, a lot of you have heard about the story that's going on with Alice Sebold. Alice Sebold is a famous author. She wrote the book, The Lovely Bones. It was turned into a movie. She wrote a biography, an autobiography about an experience that she had where she was assaulted when she was in college. They were going to make a movie about it, and during the movie, they found out that the man who was arrested for this assault was actually innocent. and he had served many years in prison and still was being, he was still being affected by this conviction. And everyone was running to find out what she had to say about it, what she had to say. They were hounding her in the media. Yeah. She took 8 days to respond. And she responded with a message that was carefully crafted, that was responsive, that was, that addressed all of the issues that had come up. And the example that I want to make out of this is she took time to process, to understand, and write and craft a statement that was appropriate. You know what I mean? So she didn't rush and do interviews and fall all over herself. She took the time to process and craft a statement before doing any sort of interviews. Even though she was being hounded by the media, even though they were chasing her down the street, she took the time to do that. And I think that's an important lesson when you're talking about anyone, any entertainer, anything. Make sure that you're not running to do, that you're not being reactive to something before you have time to process and think and strategize about it. So yes, that is my tip number 1. First question you should always ask: should I be doing this interview? Do I need to be out front? Is this the right platform? That's right, creative. I see creative media PR.
Yes, that is Madonna out of Trinidad and Tobago. I wanted to shout her out. We love her. Yes.
Yes, ma'am. And so my second key point here is to be prepared. Don't just wing it. You should know what your key points and messages are before you go in front of the media. If you're about to, release an album, release a book, release a movie, whatever it is, you should always make sure that you go into an interview with clear messages and a few key things that you want to get across about your album. An example is you should develop some go-to phrases that describe yourself and your music. An example, Beanie Man has called himself the king of the dancehall. Yes. And this is a key point that he's put out in the media time and time again. He used it in promotion of a song, in an album, etc. But now when people refer to Beanie Man, he's the king of the dancehall. It's a key message that has lasted. Another thing, the old dirty bastard, God rest his soul, used to say that he's an old dirty bastard because ain't no father to his style. That was the way that he described his music. And when you read about him, everybody says ODB ain't no father to his style.
Right.
Key message that he made sure that he put out and stuck to. You'll hear people say that they have a sound that's like a rebel soul sound, a rebel pop sound. They, all of these different, things that people come up with, and it sticks because it is a go-to phrase that's easy to catch as a sound bite and as a tagline. Another thing that you want to make sure is that you have some key points and messages about why you make the music you do and what sets your music apart from other artists. And when I say that, I mean, I've seen so many interviews, especially from dancehall artists. I'm gonna shout y'all out now, especially from dancehall artists. They're just different. Miss Tara, just different. Different. Such different. Such things that you're just different. That doesn't say anything. It doesn't tell why your music is different.
But I'm different.
But why? Exactly. You did not have a key message or a key phrase or something to say when I asked you why you were different. And that is a thing. That is why it's important to be prepared. So you're not standing there like, why am I different?
So I have a question though. So what if my difference is that red is my favorite color and I'm going to wear everything red?
That's what it is. That's what it is. You're purple. Everybody knows Genie is purple. That's what sets Genie apart. When you see purple, you know it's Genie. Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a key thing. It's a defining thing that makes you stand out.
So it doesn't necessarily have to be something that I speak, but when they see me as an artist, then when they see that, that's my signature thing, and they know that.
Yeah, exactly. Why do you think everybody's running down red bottom shoes? Because they're the only shoes that have red bottom that have
yes.
red.
Yes.
There it is, right there.
Yes.
The other thing that you want to do is highlight themes, unusual themes, or things about your work. And this goes on to being what sets you apart, but it's a little bit more specific. So I'll give you an example. When I was a journalist, I was interviewing Sean Paul. Sean Paul had just dropped his second album. It was during the interview, it could have been another run-of-the-mill interview, us talking about party songs or what have you. But Sean Paul made sure to mention a song, and I believe the song was called Never Gonna Be the Same. And it was a different kind of song. It was a more conscious song. And it was a song that was dedicated to a friend of his who had been killed. And that, him highlighting that different thing led the conversation in a very different direction. And it led to a more interesting interview because we had something different to talk about. It was like an unusual theme for him that, just led down a different road, led to a whole different conversation. So that was very important. Also, mentioned, you want to make sure that you mention like key people, key collaborators, key producers, key partners who you're working with. Yeah. Go ahead.
That's name dropping.
No, it's not. Yes, it is name dropping, but if you're working with them on a particular project, then why not talk about them? Why not talk about the partnership? It's something different that you want to talk about. So if I'm in partnership with, if I'm writing a book, if I'm writing a book, then Raine is writing a book. That's fine. If Raine and Genie are writing a book, then that's something different because Raine and Genie are two different people, two different styles, and we're collaborating together. That's something that the media would pick up on.
So a partnership or collaborating are not clout chasing because we're actively working on something.
Yes, you are absolutely actively working on something. That's not clout chasing. How is that clout chasing?
I don't know. I just feel sometimes, you just keep on, mentioning names, and I'm just like, oh God,
If I'm just name dropping for no reason, if I'm one of those people who's on here talking about, yeah, well, I just had Jay-Z on the phone and we were talking, that doesn't do anything. But if I'm working on something with Jay-Z, then I should mention it because I have my fans and my following and my platform, and Jay-Z has his, and the collaboration only makes it stronger and it makes it more interesting. Yeah, Penny Maria. Yes, that's right.
She agrees. Participant. All right. Thank you.
And so my third tip to absolutely slaying any media interview is to make sure that you are interesting and engaging. When you're doing interviews, especially when you're doing a tour or you're releasing an album or something, you're going to be asked the same questions over and over and over again. And you're going to have your key themes and points that you're going to want to keep repeating, but you don't want to continuously give the same exact answers every time. You're going to want to tell stories and use anecdotes, just like I did to underscore that my whole point. I brought up a story about Sean Paul instead of just telling you straight out. Mm-hmm. You want to tell stories, you want to tell anecdotes, you want to tell things that are funny, you want to make sure that you're being conversational. If you are releasing music, you're going to want to, pepper your interview with little verses and hooks when somebody asks you a particular question. You've seen artists do that before. Like somebody asks them a question and they just bust out a little verse and answer the question. That's also something that makes an interview a little bit more interesting, more engaging. Another thing that I will say is to speak in your natural voice, but be clear. So, you know, this platform is about, you know, Caribbean music, Jamaican culture, Caribbean music. You want to make sure that you're speaking in your natural voice, but you're being clear. I can't tell you how many interviews I see when I see someone from the Caribbean trying to put on an American accent and they're talking to someone and they are all over the place. They look unnatural. They look stiff. They are dropping their H's and adding it in other places where it doesn't belong. And it just doesn't work. You can speak in your natural accent or your natural voice and still do it in a way that's clear and understandable. So speak naturally. The other thing is that you don't want to give one word or one syllable answers, but you also don't want to talk on and on and on and on.
Yes.
When somebody asks you a question, your answer should be no less than 15 seconds, but no more than 4 minutes. 15 seconds is a nice, good soundbite. If you are droning on and on for more than 4 minutes, nobody's listening to you anymore. 15 seconds, no more than 4 minutes. The other thing is, in terms of being interesting and engaging, is to be conversational. Talk directly to the interview. If I am doing an interview with Angie Martinez, I'm going to give my answers and I'm be like, you know what I mean? You know what I mean, Angie? You know what I'm talking about, Angie? I'm going to want to use her name and make it seem like I'm talking to her. Or, you know, if I'm talking to Genie right now, I'm like, you come from that era, Genie. You know what I mean. You were there.
Yeah,
I understand.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you want to make sure that you're conversational. So that is the third tip, to be interesting and to also be engaging. Now, tip number 4, don't add fuel to the fire. Now, if something controversial or negative has happened to you recently, it could be, you know, somebody in the industry, somebody doesn't like you. It could come from a friend of yours or whatever. Don't add fuel to the fire. First and foremost, have a prepared statement. You keep it short. You keep it to the point. And this is the one time where you give the same answer for every interview and say nothing more about it. Statement, short, to the point. Always repeat that statement. Don't add anything. Don't take anything out of it. That's what it is.
Can you give us an example of that, Ms. Raine? Like what would be a statement that I can repeat over and over? If maybe say I'm pregnant and I had been seen with different men, and so people are speculating about it, and I go into the interview about the latest single that I released, and they're asking, do you know who the father is? What would be a statement that I could say to each interviewer when they bring that up, instead of talking about my song?
I am very happy. This is a very exciting time in my life. I look forward to being a mother. Myself and my co-parents are, you know, very excited about this, and there will be, you know, more details later.
Oh, look at that. Look at this.
Or we'll keep you posted on how the pregnancy goes, or something along those lines. Like, just something short and to the point, and don't say anything else. If they're like, so who's the partner? So who's the you know, say it again. You know, I am very excited about this time in my life. I'm looking forward to being a mother. I'm giving birth to a new project and a new baby, and I'm very excited. You know,
I've given birth to a new project.
And I'm about to give birth to a new baby. This is an exciting time. You know, something along those lines. Just something short and sweet and to the point.
Thank you. I love it.
And you can even say, you know, I'll keep you guys posted on my social media. I'll be sharing pictures and I'll be sharing this experience. And then that's it.
Because then you said, don't burn bridges with the media, so I'm leaving it open to them and letting them know that, you know, I'm gonna in the future talk about it or give you some information.
Stay tuned. Exactly.
Stay tuned. Love it.
And I'm glad you brought that up, because like, if an interviewer keeps pushing Another thing you can do is just change the focus. So if an interviewer continues to push on about something, you can give a statement like, well, you know, I don't know about that, but what I can tell you about is this. Or I'm not focused on that anymore. I'm putting my energy into this. Just like change the conversation. You're not ignoring the question, but you are changing the conversation. You're changing the focus of the conversation and steering it back in the direction that it needs to be. And another thing that's important is to not say anything that is negative about another person, be it an artist, be it your former friend, be it your former manager, whoever it is. Interviewers want, they want the tea. They will goad you with, you know, such and such says this and such says that. And this person is saying this about you. What do you have to say about that? And you can pivot away from that in the same way. Well, I don't really know too much about her, but here's what I can tell you about me. I am this type of person and I'm doing this. So you should always be prepared to pivot around controversial or negative issues. And, you know, a lot of people go into the, I have no comments, I have no comments, I have no comments, which is one way, but a lot of times that just seems like you are being, what is the word? That you are, people take that negatively. It seems like you're being defensive when you say it. So, you know, have your statement, shorten to the point, change the focus when they keep pushing and the conversation is going on too long, and make sure you pivot away from saying anything that is just like negative or an attacking or attacking another person or project.
Okay.
So that is my don't add fuel to the fire, tip number 4. And my 5th tip here is to practice your interviews ahead of time. Don't come on people's television. Don't be on people's radio. Don't be on people's podcasts. Well, radio is fine. You can look any way you want to, but don't be on people's podcasts looking crazy and fidgeting and looking off to the side or slumped down. You got to practice ahead of time. You can request questions ahead of time. You know, have your publicist or your manager or whoever practice your answers. Practice giving you the question and you answering. Another thing that is important is to record these practice sessions so you can see how you look and how you sound. You'll notice a lot of times, like things that you don't pick up on when you're speaking, like you're saying all the time, or you're saying not I mean, not I mean, not I mean, not I mean, or you know, things like that. Those are things that you'll notice when you're looking at yourself. And also you notice your posture, you notice different things about yourself. It is it's important that you record these practice sessions so that you can see what you're doing and how you come off and hear and improve.
Like swearing.
Like making faces. I am one of those people who sometimes somebody asks me a question and I'm like, well, you know, or sometimes, and I notice what I do also is talk with my hands on, and I'm doing it here. And because I can see myself, I can see that I'm just doing this. And so I know that I need to dial that back. So those are my 5 major tips for slaying an interview. Number 1, really evaluate whether or not this is the right interview for you. This is the right time to give an interview. This is the right person, the right medium. Number 2, prepare, be prepared. Know your key points and your messages and make sure that you stick to those key points and messages. Number 3, be interesting and engaging. Don't just sit here like a robot and spit out your answers. Tell stories, sing hooks, speak naturally, be conversational. Number 4, don't add fuel to the fire. Make sure that if there is something negative or controversial in your background, that you are prepared with a statement about it. that you pivot away or you change the focus if the conversation is going on longer than it needs to be, in your opinion, or that you're comfortable with. And number 5, practice ahead of time. And this goes along with being prepared, but it's practice ahead of time. Practice giving the answers ahead of time. Make sure that you are aware of what your body is doing. Make sure you're aware of how you're speaking. Make sure you're aware of your facial expressions. Don't be up in the camera like this. Make sure that you're doing these things. I'll tell you a funny story. During the beginning of the pandemic, people were using Zoom and they weren't aware of it. They didn't know, a lot of people didn't understand Zoom. So you see them in the camera like this, or they'd be talking to you like this, or they'll be doing, all up in, you can see all up their nostrils like this. But because they can see themselves, they were able to change that behavior. If they hadn't been, you'd still be talking to people
right
like this. So it's important to see and understand. So those are my 5 main tips, and there are a couple other things that I wanna put out there. Just a few other little bits of advice. Number 1, research the outlet and the host ahead of time. Watch or listen to some of their previous interviews so that you get a sense of who they are and the kinds of questions that they ask and the kinds of things that they would be interested in talking about, because everyone has like a signature, and so you want to make sure that you're aware of the host, the station, the interviewer, ahead of time. 2, if you get nervous. Now, this is something that I actually learned in school. If you get nervous, you practice what are called power poses. So there is a TED Talk on power poses that you can Google. I don't remember the exact person who gave it, but just power poses TED Talk. And this person talks about ways to pose so that infuses you with power. For example, if you are about to do something and you're nervous, if you stand with your hands up like this, it actually takes away the nervousness and makes you feel powerful. Or if you put your hands on your hips is another thing that, it puts you in a position of power. And so that is the power poses help you kind of build confidence. If you are doing an interview, be on time, be 5 minutes early, don't show up late, don't show up drunk, don't show up high. Well, unless you're on Drink Champs, don't show up. And even then, they're going to give you the liquor. So don't show up drunk. Don't show up high. Another key tip is assume that everything that you say or that happens during this interview is on the record. When you are sitting in front of a journalist, when you're talking to a podcaster, when you're in front of a TV crew, there's no such thing as something that is off the record. Well, I shouldn't say that. I should say assume that there is nothing that is off the record. Another ODB example that I love. ODB was a character, God rest his soul. Is when he did an interview with MTV. It was one of his first big interviews. You'll remember that he was still on welfare at the time.
The food stamp.
he had his welfare, his ID, and he pulled up in front of the welfare office to get his money in a limo, drinking champagne with MTV in tow, and of course he got in trouble for that. There were all kinds of issues with his with his public assistants after that. And people were out there saying, oh, MTV told on him, they reported him. MTV didn't have to do nothing. You were there on camera, pulling up in front of, the public assistance office in a limo. MTV didn't have nothing to do with that. That was you. That was on the record. I'm sure you did not expect this consequence. However, everything you do or say is on the record. Please don't go into an interview talking about the murder you committed 20 years before and think that it's off the record. And when the cops show up at your house, then you're calling the radio station informer. No, you're the informer. Don't talk about it. It was on the record. And the other incident that I love, that I absolutely love, was I used to be into Sound Clash, and I know, Genie, I know you're a Sound Clash girl too.
Yes, yes.
So, you know, there was a big selector one time named Ricky Trooper. Remember Ricky Trooper?
Yes.
Ricky Trooper was one of my favorite selectors. Ricky Trooper, I don't know what got into him one day, decided to be on video talking about, you know.
Put it on YouTube!
That's the one. That is the one. Brandishing his guns, showing off his 10-year visa. Put this on YouTube. Don't put it on YouTube. Miss Raine said, don't put it on YouTube. Don't go out there looking crazy. Ricky Trooper, you have not seen Ricky Trooper back in the United States recently since then, because Ricky Trooper got into a lot of trouble putting that on YouTube. Don't do that.
Yeah. Everything
you do that is being recorded is on the record.
Yes.
And then my last little piece here: brush your teeth, shower, fix your hair, wear clean clothes, don't look crazy, don't smell bad when you're doing an interview. And I know that sounds like common sense. You'd be surprised how often that it's not, that sense isn't that common. Brush your teeth, shower, fix your hair, wear clean clothes, don't look crazy, and don't smell bad when you're doing an interview. So I'm gonna recap. First tip: when you are doing a 5 tips to help you slay your media interview. Notice that I am repeating this because these are my key points. 1, ask yourself if this is the right outlet for you, if this is the right time to do a media interview, if this is right for you. So don't just jump at every opportunity. Should I be doing this is the first question that you ask yourself. Number 2, become prepared with your key points and messages. Make sure that you know exactly what it is that you want to get across, and exactly, these people in the comments are cracking me up, exactly what it is that you want to get across and the key themes that you want to talk about. Number 3, be interesting and engaging. Don't just sit there and talk, you know, and repeat the same thing over and over and over again. Tell stories, tell anecdotes, sing, talk to the interviewer one-on-one. Don't ramble. Don't go on for more than 4 minutes, and don't give one-word answers either. Between 15 seconds and 4 minutes are what your answer should be. 4, don't add fuel to the fire. Don't be goaded into these negative things and to these controversial topics. Make sure that you have your key point, you take your key statement, you keep it short and to the point, and you learn how to pivot away. Practice ahead of time so that you make sure that your look and your sound is the way that it needs to be. And other few points: your power poses, you arrive on time, you assume everything is on record, brush your teeth, shower, fix your hair, and wear clean clothes.
That last one is a lot, Miss Raine. You said we got to brush. Do we have to floss?
Brush, floss, use Listerine, make sure, carry gum, make sure that if you're talking to someone face to face, that you are not burning off their eyebrows with your breath.
Oh wow, Miss Raine, and let me just reset. So guys, we have about 15 minutes left, and I want to make sure that you guys know that here at British Links today, of course, December 15th and December 22nd, we have Miss Raine here with media classes, media training, media sessions. It's at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The next one is on the 15th, and the final one is on the 22nd. And you cannot get this information. Well, of course, you come here on British Links because it will be saved. Also, it will be up on BritishLinks.com. So you guys, and I saw Lowe's ask, can you record it? You know, send your clients over and just send them the video so that they can see it. And it's important that you understand that Ms. Raine is a publicist, meaning that these are services that she charges for. So, you know, we're definitely grateful that she took the time out of her schedule, because, you know, she works during the week, out of her schedule to come and to give this information. And
don't tell anybody, but I'm working right now.
Right. We can call her job, y'all. No, but I want you all to really understand that. Shouts out to the other PR reps and publicists who are here, and you know, her friends and everything who are giving you know, thumbs up to the different things that she's saying, because it's what they have to do for clients themselves. If there is anyone who wants to jump on for a couple of minutes and maybe ask questions for their own, you know, platform or what they have going on, then please feel free to do that while we have Ms. Raine on. Again, because this is very exclusive. She's only got 2 more sessions that she's going to do for the month of December. So it's very important that you guys, and you can watch it, and hey Leela, you can watch it over and over, you know, and as I said, give it to clients if they feel like, you know, she don't know what she's talking about. Hey, trust me, she has done this, you know, and these are the things that work.
For years and years I've done this, and these are the things that work. Can I point out one thing, Miss Genie, that I love about you?
Yes.
I mentioned the purple, and I see that you went and grabbed your purple necklace for the branding. That's a key theme about Genie. Is purple. Yes.
Yes. You know, purple is royalty, passion, and power. And so those are, you know, and definitely what we bring. So, but yeah, I just again want to make sure, and Ms. Raine, when she did the repeat, because those were her key points, which is something that she mentioned in media coaching today, is very important. You have to make sure you get someone on your team like this who cares and concerned about your look. And if you follow me here on Instagram, if you follow my social media, I keep talking about publicists and why they are important, and I'm not going to stop saying it. We are Caribbeans, and we're very proud people, you know, and we tend to get a little negative. That's why you need a publicist. That is why you need a publicist. And because some of us have a deeper accent, you know, and so our publicists could definitely help us to still speak, as Ms. Raine said, in our natural language, but speak clearly. So that we can understand, we can speak clearly. She's going to help us if we get into controversy. Then, you know, publicists help us with that. They help us. It's just so many different things that she said today. Watch this video over and over. Share it with your peers so that you can know. Ooh, and Ted Soriano, who we're going to see here in New York soon, said the best time to get a publicist. Yes, Ms. Raine, when should we get a publicist?
I am going to answer you, but before I forget, I want to shout out Kev Rocker, who has been here reminding me how many years and how old I am. Thank you, Kev. So, who's this? Enchan Soriano. When is the best time to get a publicist? There is, let's see, here we go. I told people not to bother me. I'll be doing an interview and my doorbell is ringing. When is the best time to get a publicist? The best time to get a publicist is if you can, from the very beginning, because that publicist will help you craft your story and help you craft your story, help you get your messaging, help you get your look, help you get your general kind of branding together. And I understand, especially when it comes to up and coming artists, like publicists, you know, cost money. When you have something to publicize is the best time to get a publicist. If you are working on an album, a song, a single, a project, a piece of art, when you have something to publicize, that is the best time to get an artist. If you can't afford one from the very beginning to help you jumpstart your public image that way, the best time is when you have something to publicize, when you have a project, when you have something to share. Hi, Michelle. Kev wants to know, how do you vet a publicist? Now that is a very interesting question. So here are my tips. Number one, if you are approached by a publicist, or if you are looking for a publicist, the first thing that you should do is look and see what kind of record they have. Who they've worked with, where their releases have shown up, or where their placements are. If I tell you that I used to work with Vibes Cartel, you should be able to go ask Vibes Cartel about me, and he should know who I am. This publicist should have a record. So that's number one, making sure that the publicist has a record of doing what they say that they can do. Second thing is a few things to be wary of about publicists. The publicist, and everyone's different, but for me, be wary of the publicist who is a celebrity themselves. As a publicist, your role is to make sure that your clients, the people that you're working with, are the ones who are walking the red carpet, and the one who are, in the papers and getting the podcast interviews. They're the ones that are, that are being publicized, not the publicists themselves. I have seen publicists push people out of the way. I have seen publicists, I should say, push clients out of the way to get on the red carpet and get photographed and get in the media. That is a red flag. Another red flag when it comes to publicists or vetting a publicist, I would say, is
charging for consultation.
No, charging well, I don't charge for consultations, but if it's your time, then it's your time. But the thing that I would be wary of is the publicists who can do everything. They promise you that they can do everything. They can get you in the New York Times. You will be on the front cover of this. You will be here. You will be there. There are absolutely no guarantees unless this is kind of a quote unquote paid placement. There are no guarantees. Your publicist will do their best and work all angles to get you the coverage that you need. But a publicist who promises you that you will be #1 on the Billboard charts by the time they're done with you, a publicist who promises you that, like I said, you'll be on the front page of the New York Times, that is another red flag. That is a big red flag when it comes to vetting a publicist. So I will say, make sure that you do your research and that you get references and make sure that this publicist is who they say they are and have a history of doing the things that they are, telling you they can do. And number two, to make sure that you look out for the publicist that's a celebrity, #1, that's a red flag. And two, the publicist that promises you the star, the moon, everything all at once, that they can do it all. Another thing that I will say is a publicist who is a single, solo publicist, but has 50 clients. That's another red flag. As one person, you cannot give the same attention to 50 people and push 50 projects. So if you're a publicist, if you're looking at a publicist who's part of a company, or you're looking at a publicist that has, a lot of contractors and consultants, then yes, that's one thing. But if you're a single contractor that has 50 clients, 50 current clients, that's also a red flag. You're right. Yes, creative media is underscoring that there are no guarantees. This is very true.
So Ms. Raine, if we could just do another scenario here. What if I'm watching TV and I see a publicist on a TV program? Can I try to contact them to hire me can I hire them as well? Because I see them on TV with a client. So they should be able to do the same for me, right?
That's not Exactly. What I would say is if you see someone on television as a publicist, or you, as a matter of fact, if you're watching this and you see me here as a publicist and you want to reach out to me, or you want to hire me, or you want to reach out to the person that you see on television, yes, you can do that. But every client, every person is different. Every person's product is different. Every strategy is different. And every publicist is different. That might not be the right publicist for you, per se. It might not be the person that is going to get you where you need to go. You might not be the right client for them, but you can absolutely reach out to them. But you can't, there's no guarantee that you're going to get the same level of exposure. There's no guarantee that they're going to be sitting next to you on 60 Minutes. You know what I'm saying? Every situation is different. And when you are vetting a publicist, to go back to that, they should recognize that. And, if I'm the publicist for Jay-Z and I'm the publicist for Genie Sweetness, then that's two completely different clients, two different strategies, two different levels of exposure. I can't do for Genie what I do for, Jay-Z, because they're completely different.
And I should not expect it either.
You should not expect it, but also going back to vetting, if I am promising you that I can make you into Jay-Z, then that's a red flag.
Okay. What if, and this will be my final thing, what if I'm shy or an introvert? Is it possible to have a publicist and not have to do interviews and not have to speak any at all?
It is not. It is, if you are shy and you have problems speaking, your publicist can work with you on, being shy and making sure that you are comfortable speaking. But, and your publicist can also make sure that the interviews that you're doing and the people that you're interviewing with, that you're comfortable with and comfortable speaking to. That I will say. It is not possible, or it's not wise, I would say, to not represent yourself or not have any, anything from you. Yes, we can create statements and release statements, but after a certain point in time, people want to hear from you. And granted, you don't have to be out in front of everybody talking about everything, but there should be some times where people need to hear from you directly. And you'll notice that there are artists that don't give interviews regularly or only speak when necessary. Exactly. But he does speak when it is necessary for him to speak. Shout out to Shazar, wherever you are.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, Shazar is his publicist, and his numbers are crazy for him to be elusive and kind of, to himself. And I see the stories and everything, and there's definitely a different alkaline with with this album that he put out. And guys, that's from having a publicist.
That's
and
right.
a publicist working with his manager and working with I believe Romy Icon is part of his team. So yeah. So okay.
And yes, Lila Lock the City picked up on doing the practice sessions, which was one of my key points to practice.
Yes.
If you
have
were
a question
shy,
from Adana too.
you do those practices.
You have a question from Adana. I'm getting a 2-minute signal here. Adana, Creative Media says, how do you feel about being one of other publicists for a client, for having a publicist as a client? How do you feel about that?
Oh, you mean a client that has more than one publicist? Depends. There are times when I've worked with someone who was in another country and I was the publicist for them in a particular genre or in a particular area, and that perfectly is fine. I have no problem working with someone in that capacity. But a client that has 5 publicists doing the exact same thing for them at all times, tripping all over themselves, you're wasting your money. You don't need 5 publicists.
We want to thank you again, Ms. Raine. Everyone, we will be back here again on December 15th for another session. Again, we just have 2. Hey, Michelle. We just have 2 more sessions with Ms. Raine. The next one on December 15th will Do I Still Need a Publicist? PR in the Digital Age. And on the 22nd, her final session, New Year, New You. Is it time for a rebrand? bless up everybody who was here to come. Ms. Raine, again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, British Links. Shout out Romy Icon.
Yes. Goodbye, everyone. See you on.
And thank you to everyone who came and asked questions and you know, just listened.
Yes. Later.